Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Tiffany Bell, and I am your host of the CEO Corner. Very excited again to bring on one of our contributing authors for our next affirmations for a CEO on the, I was going to say CEO on the rise, but no, it's CEO on the move affirmation book. And so I'm very excited again to be able to introduce our upcoming guests. Again, for those of you who are brand new to the CEO Corner, I have an opportunity each week to introduce to you women that are CEOs in their own right, in their lives, and in the businesses and the communities in which they serve. And so, again, I enjoy connecting with these individuals, and I certainly do enjoy being able to introduce you to new partners and new resources, new opportunities for you to collaborate with women who are definitely making a difference. Okay, and so with today, again, I'm so excited to bring to you our guest. All right, and so Miss Gwen Tillery. She's an award-winning author, entrepreneur, success coach, mental health counselor, and speaker with a passion for transforming lives by helping people become healed, whole, and happy so that they can walk in their purpose. She maintains several businesses and is the host of Kingdom News, which airs on Kingdom Purpose TV. So, ladies and gentlemen, join with me giving the stage to Miss Gwen Tillery. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the CEO Corner.
Thank you, Tiffany, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you here as well. So I know we have lots of things that we can talk about. I'm not really sure where I would like to start, but I think honestly very excited for a project that you have currently going on. We didn't kind of chat about what we're going to talk about before going into this, so hopefully I'm not catching you by surprise. But I know that you have a book that you are currently promoting. I would love for you to share with the audience a bit about that book, right? And so with that, Ms. Gwen, go ahead, just kind of tell people a bit about the book and how they can connect with you and get copies of it.
So yes, we will be releasing Through the Fire by next Monday, and the digital copy will also be available next Monday for a 24-hour period. But Through the Fire, oh my gosh, I am so excited about this collaboration. You know, I believe that God's timing is perfect and he does all things well. And so this was something that had been on my heart and on my mind for a while to do, to put together a collaboration of stories that would inspire, that would encourage, that would empower, and help people to recognize that, you know, no matter what they're going through, you know, there's a way out. There's a way through, that we could all make it through. And particularly, I think that the book is timely because having, you know, experienced the last 2 years and all the issues and losses with COVID, people are really in a place that they're hopeless, they're feeling down. And so I really wanted to be able to share stories that would encourage people, inspire people, and kind of give them a renewed sense of hope. And so we have 14 different people within this collaboration. And so there's stories like you yourself, Miss Tiffany Bell, who shares her story of having faith through adversity. And there's another story that tells of someone who dealt with teenage dating violence. We have stories. This is the difference about this collaboration, which I love. When God began speaking to me about this collaboration, you know, primarily I always work with women. I love working with women. I have a heart for working with women. But God did not tell me to make this a book of just women. What he clearly said to me was that, you know what, men need to be empowered, men need to heal, and men need to also become whole. And so this book also includes stories of men who have gone through the fire and now are on the other side and walking in victory.
Yes, 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 yes. I love that it's not just focused on women, that you are doing something a little different. I will say probably at least 95% of the book collaborations that I see are typically all women. But of course, I also realize that we're in a bit of a bubble here on social media, so you're not really seeing a true snapshot of what's really happening out there. But it definitely sounds good. It is a good thing that you are connecting, though you work primarily with women, but in this particular case, that there are men who are involved. Because just like you said, men need to be encouraged as well. And so I'm definitely looking forward to being able to see how well the book does and just being able to introduce it, to our audience. And so what you guys will have an opportunity to learn more about the book, because Gwen is going to come back with several of her authors and then here on the CEO Corner. So again, you guys can kind of hear firsthand about some of the amazing stories that are in this book. And so one of the things that I do love, I love just the title itself, Through the Fire. I mean, technically, unless you're, just recently born, for the most part, everybody's either going through the fire, they're coming out of the fire, or technically you're on your way to the fire. You don't know where you're at, where you're going to be at in regards to that fire. But I love that, for the most part, the stories that you have lined up for everybody to be able to read when they connect with your book is going to be something that really touches their heart, that, you'll be able to find yourself somewhere on the pages of that book. And so glad to be able to share in that collaboration with you. So now tell us a bit about Success Arise.
So, as I said, I have a passion for working with women. Uh, how this process started is a bit of a journey. My background is actually in education and mental health, and so I spent over 25 years in public education, working almost every position. From a teacher to doing professional development, moving into administration. I was a member of the child study team, and so I dealt primarily with children, particularly children who struggled. So most of my years spent in education were in the area of special education. And I found that I was particularly gifted for that area because I had the ability to be able to see the best in some of the children that, people couldn't see that in. And then beyond that, I had the ability to encourage them and inspire them to do better, to recognize that they were capable, to recognize that they were able to do well academically despite their challenges. And so about 10 years ago, I started developing some health issues. And it caused me pretty much to have to make a decision whether or not I was going to keep working and keep making money, or I was going to trust God and pretty much retire early because my body just could not take that level of work anymore. At the time that I retired, my caseload was grades 6 through 12 for testing, and I had a caseload of about 100 students. And so it was a lot of work, and the pay was great. It was absolutely great. But again, I had to make a decision, was I going to allow that to keep me unhealthy, keep me in pain, and potentially just literally ruin my life? And so even though I didn't know what God had in store for me, I decided to retire. It was a really difficult process and it was really scary. At the time, I can remember clearly thinking, why, God, why did you allow this to happen to me? I went to school, I prepared, I studied, I'm good. Why are you doing this? But I was asking the question kind of already knowing that God has some other plans for me. But the problem was that I was now forced to do it in what I felt wasn't a timely manner. You know what I mean? When you have to make a decision or something happens that forces immediate response versus you being able to take your time in obedience, that's two totally different things. And I didn't have that luxury. And so I actually spent quite a bit of time. I didn't realize it at the time, but I actually spent a good amount of time actually like grieving. Grieving is not just necessarily the loss of a person, but the loss of something. And so, with that, I was not able to necessarily do a lot of the things I used to do. I had significant herniation and stenosis in 5 levels of my neck. I had developed carpal tunnel syndrome in both hands. I had major back issues. So I was pretty messed up, to say the least. And then what made it even worse was the doctors never really understood how it happened. They like I wasn't in any serious car accident or anything. I think it was just the amount of work that I was doing, sitting at a computer for 7 hours a day, typing up reports. But nevertheless, it happened, and so I was forced to make a decision to leave. And then I spent about 2 years really just praying and seeking God and asking God, what is it that you want me to do? Because, you're a God that makes no mistakes. And so if this was allowed to happen, there must be something that you have for me. So I spent a lot of time jumping from like one kind of a business to another. I did a lot of network marketing.
Uh-huh.
And then I started doing a lot of like self-development, listening to people like Les Brown and Lisa Nichols, reading Joyce Meyer's books, The Battlefield of the Mind. And when I started doing that and started reading that, things started to really become clear for me. And I'm like, okay, God, what are you showing me? And then he reminded me of something that had happened a couple of years ago as I was sitting in my office working at the school. So I was in my office and I just heard a voice say there's going to be a shift. Okay, who is that? And what are you talking about? He said there's going to be a shift. And I'm like, a shift? He's like, yeah, you spend a lot of time working with youth and adolescents, and I know that's been your passion, but there's going to be a shift, and I'm shifting you to working with women. Me? I'm going to be working with women? I said, this is not God speaking to me, because first of all, and it's sad to say this, but this has been my experience. I can't work with women because women tend to be dramatic, and they tend to, want to cause friction, and it's just drama. And that's not who I am. That's not how I like to be. That's not how I like to operate. So, God, I know you're not telling me that I want to be working with women. I'm having this whole conversation in my office. And so God reminded me of that conversation. And then probably within a year of that, the self-development, the reading, the praying, the meditating, I found myself launching my first business, Spark to Inspire, which was dedicated to empowering women spiritually, physically, and financially.
Okay. All right.
And so then from there, I rebranded and launched Success Arise, which is dedicated to empowering women to become everything it is that God created them to be, to help them to move from stuck to unstoppable in every area of their lives.
So I'm curious. Tell me. So initially, the shift. You got the word that the shift was coming, right? All right, and then you began to, to kind of move along with the shift. Tell me about your experience. Like initially you felt like women were, you didn't use the word catty, but can be difficult sometimes to work with. What has your experience been like, and how have you dealt with women that have indeed have been a bit difficult to work with, maybe difficult to love, difficult to empower. Kind of talk to us a little bit about how you've dealt with situations like that, what your experience overall has been since you've made, since the shift has happened.
So this is one of the things that God also clearly said to me. He said, well, if it is indeed the case that women can be catty, as you said, or can be difficult, and you have all these negative experiences, I want you to begin to shift that. I want you to begin to change that. And so I want you to be intentional about finding women that are like-minded, finding women that are willing to not be difficult, that are willing to be loving, that are concerned about other women. And I want you to start working with those women. I want you to start coaching those women, counseling those women. And I want you to start forming relationships with those kinds of women, because if we're going to make a change in this area, then you know what? It has to start with someone. And so, yes, have I had challenges? Absolutely. And I realize, whether it is as a coach, just a woman in general, or a counselor, not every person that I come across is somebody that God has specifically assigned me to. And so I've gotten better with understanding that, there are women that are going to have challenges for whatever reason. A lot of it stems to what I say is the fact that you haven't taken time to heal from, those traumas or those hurts or those pains that you've experienced in life. And so all I can do is be an encouragement, a support system. But at the end of the day, I can't force anyone to be anything other than what they want themselves to be. And so I've learned to accept that, which was very difficult for me because at heart, I'm someone who wants to transform everyone, literally everyone. I want everyone, but it's the same passion I had in the classroom with my students. There was not one student who was in my classroom that I didn't feel was capable of doing better. There was not one student that I didn't feel was capable of getting, 100 on a test if they worked hard enough or studied hard enough, or if I created it in a way that worked to their gifts and their talents. And so it was difficult, then it's still difficult for me now when I come across someone and I see that there's so much potential and I see the hurt and the pain and I just want to give them a hug and say, but you know what, there's so much more, things could be so much better. But I realize again that I can't do that for everyone. And I've learned to accept that. And so for the women who God places in my life, I love on them, I encourage them, I inspire them, I hold them accountable. They call me loving but firm.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good, everybody. We need a soft place to land, mind you. But then there are other times when we need someone who will tell us it's time to get up and get moving. And so, the balance of the two is just needed. One of the things that you said that I thought that is interesting is that basically you recognize that not everybody is meant for Gwen. But that also means that Gwen is not meant for everyone. And so, how do you differentiate? How do you know that this is someone? I don't know, but I'm sure you hold everybody with an open hand, mind you. But how do you recognize who's the person that the Lord's called you to touch, and who perhaps He's just saying, hey, that's not your client. Like that person, they're passing through. They're not to stop and to say, they're not necessarily the ones for you to be. I don't have that person set aside for you. How do you differentiate between the two?
So for me, when I am in the process of getting a new client, I always do an initial interview. Even with my counseling clients, there's an initial interview, which is of no charge because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want anyone to waste their time. And so with that, usually within the first conversation, I can get a good sense of whether or not it's a fit. And, there's that expression like all money is not good money. And so for me, for me, yes, this is, my business, but I also know that it's a ministry for me. And so I'm always trying to find that balance. But more importantly, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm going to become frustrated. And so usually, like I said, that initial interview, that initial interaction, I can get a pretty good sense of whether or not it's a good match. Someone who is in a bad place but willing to be coachable, willing to be open to receiving guidance and direction is usually a good fit for me. Someone who is closed-minded, someone who kind of feels like they say, a lot of times people say they want help, but they're not willing to do the work to get the help. That is not the client for me because, like I said, I am very um, I'm very solution focused. And so for me, I work in timelines. I am patient, but you know what? In terms of, and then the other thing is that, my business, my ministry, everything about me is rooted in biblical principles. And
Hmm.
so to everything, there's a time and a season. And so you have to be obedient. If God has given you an assignment or a task and He's like, okay, you need to move in this and you're not moving in it. Well, if you're not going to be obedient to God, you're definitely not going to listen to anything that I have to say. And so I've learned again, that's probably not the client for me. My clients tend to be women who know that there's something out there for them, but for some reason, like I said, they're just stuck. And they just need to get somebody behind them to encourage them, to support them, to get them from that place of being stuck so that they can start moving in whatever it is that God has called them to move in. But they recognize that there is something, and they're willing to do the hard work to explore what that is to move to the next level.
Very good. I love that. Love that. Love that. That you're definitely able, one, to identify who's coachable and who's not coachable at the end of the day, which I think is a great transition into the last segment of the day, which is really, I want to kind of focus on your affirmation that you shared. That we'll have featured inside the CEO, excuse me, affirmations for a CEO on the Move journal that's coming up. And so, as you can see, your affirmation is on the screen now. But the thing that I love that you said again, it's recognizing when people are coachable versus when they're not coachable. It means that they're willing, like they recognize where they're at with their mindset currently, and they're willing to make that transition. They are willing, they recognize that change needs to happen first of all right here and then right here. And then as I change in the inside, then of course, obviously, I begin to see the changes that are going to happen around me based on how I respond to life, right? And so I'd love for you to take about 4 to 5 minutes out and just kind of talk directly to that young lady who's out there that recognizes that she needs change. She's looking for success in life, but like you said, she's a bit stuck and she's trying to move past that. So, I'd love for you to take a few minutes out and just kind of talk directly to her and minister to her in a way that you feel would help her again move from point A to point B.
So I can speak to her simply because I was her. Everything that I teach, everything that I talk about is a result, honestly, of my own experiences in life. So, first, let me start by saying success for me is about becoming and doing everything it is that you were particularly designed and created by God to do. So one of the first things that we have to recognize in our journey to becoming successful in life is that it is just that, our journey. It is an individual journey. And so we have to learn to stop comparing ourselves to others. We have to understand that we have been uniquely designed by God to accomplish something. And when we get on board with that, we will achieve success. So the first part of it is recognizing that you have been gifted with everything it is that you need to become who God wants you to be. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. You don't need to look down on yourself. You are fully equipped to become everything it is that you're supposed to be. That's the first thing. The second thing is your mindset dictates your speech, and your speech dictates your mindset. So it's like an ongoing vicious cycle. When we speak negatively, we think negatively. When we think negatively, we speak negatively. And so one of the main things about changing your mindset is also changing your speech. About 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to become successful in this business. I had been playing around with it for years. I doubted myself. I questioned myself. And 2 years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm changing things up. And I began changing my language. I began saying, you know what? You are capable. You are enough. You are equipped. God has already given you everything that you need to be successful in this business. And as I began to speak differently, things began to change. Doors began to open up. Financial situations began to change. And so now I am very mindful and very purposeful about how I speak every day in general about anything and everything. I was just having this conversation this morning with someone. You have to be mindful of how you speak over your life and over your situations. You have to aim high. If you want a successful business, you have to speak that you want a successful business. If you want a successful career, you have to speak that you want a successful career. You can't limit yourself or limit your mind or limit your opportunities. Aim high, and if you don't reach the top, at least you'll fall somewhere in between. But if you have a goal to be a six-figure business, but you're saying to yourself, but you know what? I'll just start with making $100 a month. No, set the bar high. Set the bar high and tell yourself that you're capable of achieving it. Allow your mind to believe that you can achieve it. See yourself in that position. So when you begin to do those things, when you begin to speak differently, when you begin to think differently, then you will notice that your life will begin to change. And then finally, part of that is making sure that you surround yourself with people who are going to support you in that. You can't listen, life is challenging enough as it is. Moving on this journey to accomplishing our goals and fulfilling our purpose and being successful is difficult enough as it is. And so we definitely don't want to be around people who are going to impact our thinking in a negative manner or a negative way. And so the other piece is find people who are going to support you and encourage you to help you stay in that different place with that different mindset. People who are going to inspire you, people who are going to help to hold you accountable. People who, when you say, well, I don't know, will say, what do you mean you don't know? Of course you can. Sis, you need to change up your language. And so those are some of the things, but I want you to know that your mindset is key to your success. When you change up your mindset, you will change up your life. I promise it. I guarantee you. Think differently and watch what will happen.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. You can hear me now. I was on mute there for a quick second.
Yes.
I love that. So again, for anyone that's out there, you heard several things that Ms. Gwen just shared, right? And what we want you to do, especially as it pertains to these affirmations that we're sharing with you each week, we want you to grab hold of these affirmations and we want you to confess them, on a regular basis. So real quick, I'm going to put her affirmation back on the screen one more time, right? So her affirmation is, okay, my mindset dictates my success in life. When I change my mindset, my life will change, right? So when I change my mindset, my life will change. I want you to say that over and over and over and over and over again today. For my affirmation for me today, my personal affirmation today is I'm a woman of initiative, right? So I am going to take that and put it all around my house this week so that I am not getting stuck in a rut and procrastinating, right? I need to be, my plan this week is to really kind of move the bar up where it comes to showing initiative, right? And so, I need to make sure that I put that message up and around where I can see it on a regular basis. So I'm thinking and meditating on it, right? And so if you're a woman who wants to see some change in your life and you realize again that your mindset needs to change, this is a perfect message for you to paste around your home, whether or not, make it a screensaver on your computer. If you're in
Yes.
the kitchen doing dishes, my window is right in front of my kitchen door. So I'm going to put a sticky, on my kitchen window this week so that when I'm doing dishes, when I'm in there cooking dinner for my boys, whatever the thing is, I have that visual, even as I walk out my door to go check my mail. On the door window, there's going to say, I'm a woman of initiative. So for you, take it. My mindset dictates my success. Put that message where you can see it. When you brush your teeth tomorrow morning, when you brush your teeth this morning, tonight as you lay down, go to take your makeup off, right there in your mirror. When I change my mindset, I will change my life, right? So again, the thing about affirmations are like, you're initially, when you start down a path, motivation, you're normally, motivated to get started, right? That's the thing that gets you excited. You see something, you're inspired by it, you're motivated, you want to do it. But it's really affirmations that keep you on that track, right? It is the daily meditation. It is the confession of that word over your life and verbally to where you hear it with your outside ear, mind you, but then you're seeing it as well. And that repetition, it will create a new pathway, a new mindset within your own self so that, again, that is what you would respond to life with. And so, again, thank you so much, Ms. Gwen. Excited to have you to be a part, again, of our next affirmation book that's due out. We will be hitting the stands with that next week. You might actually see it by the end of this week, but no later than next week. We should be starting the pre-sales for that. So for those of you who are interested, if you'd like to get a copy of Affirmations of a CEO on the Move, feel free to reach out to Miss Gwen. Her email address is successarize info@gmail.com. Feel free to connect with her as well. If you're interested in doing business with her, Miss Gwen, again, I'll let you kind of talk about how people can connect with you if they're interested in being a part of your tribe, right? Take a couple of minutes out and kind of talk, tell them where they can catch you.
Thank you. Yes. So you can connect with me on social media under Success Arise. That's Instagram, or my name, Gwen Tillery, on Instagram, Facebook, as well as on LinkedIn. You can also visit my website, which has detailed information about all the services and programs that I offer, in addition to the books that are available. And the website is www.successarize.com.
All righty. Thank you again, Ms. Lynn. Definitely enjoyed learning a little bit more about you. There's a few things you said today that I was not aware of. And so, again, love learning about you. Love your heart. She has a genuine heart when it comes to empowering and connecting people with the resources and the tools that they need in order to live a better life, and then also to build their businesses. So again, feel free, definitely follow up with her. And I'm very grateful that you guys have tuned into our show today. Again, my name is Tiffany Bell, the host of the CEO Corner. I look forward to connecting with you again. And thank you again, Ms. Gwen, for coming and appearing on the show today. And then you guys will hear more from Ms. Gwen and some of her authors in a show coming up really soon. So be on the lookout for that. All right. And so until then, I will see you again. Take care.
Thank you.